And welcome to the Unwind. On the Unwind, if you're brand spanking new here, this is where we tell the story of immigrants, persons who have left their home country for another country. We tell the good, the bad, the ugly, indifferent, and the in between. My name is Kelly Williams, and I will be your host. I am the CEO and founder of Opera, which is the immigrant app. And here on the Unwind is where we let loose, we grab a glass of wine, and we chill out on a Friday and listen to other people's stories. The reason why we do this is as expression of what it is to be an immigrant, yes, but also as a symbol of unity amongst our communities. And as a warning sign for persons who are thinking about immigration, what to and not to do, right? Welcome, and today we have an amazing story to share with you all. We have someone all the way from Nigeria to Trinidad and Tobago, then now in Halifax. We're going to get all of the details. But before we get into it, this episode is sponsored by Opera. So as I mentioned, Opera, the immigrant app. If you go to your app store and download the Opera app, you will be able to do everything immigrants would need, including book an apartment acquisition call, housing call, connect to utilities, banking, career coaching, recruiting for a job, language tutoring. We have a whole French community, as well as immigration lawyers and find your community. Everything an immigrant will need, all on one mobile app. Today, we'll be interviewing our Opera service provider. His name is Joseph, and he's all the way from Nigeria. I'm going to leave him to give us the details. Welcome to the stage, Joseph. Hi.
Hi, Kelis. Hi, everyone.
Oh,
Yes, yeah.
Joseph, you know that song, In the Water? In the Water.
Not at all.
Okay. Oh, God, it's the flag. Some say Lucia, Jamaica, a Trini living in Ontario. Somebody say long time. And I could talk to Joseph like this. Is because Joseph, you've lived in Trinidad for how long?
5 years.
5 years. So Joseph could understand me. I could talk to him like a Trini. Not to mention your wife. She from where?
Trini.
Trinidad.
She's a Trini.
Who is me? We is you, right? The floor is yours. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Joseph Edosa. I'm a Nigerian. I was born and raised in Nigeria, and I moved to Trinidad for my master's program. And after my master's, I left Trinidad after 5 years, after 5 wonderful years of connection with the community, connecting with, the life, the culture. And I moved to Canada. And in Canada here, I came in as a student. I took the environmental engineering program, right? And after that, I secured a job. And I'm here, and my wife just joined me recently. She actually joined in April, so we had our wedding here in Canada in April, and just enjoying ourselves.
Nice. You see, I didn't know that element of it. I have so many questions. I'm sure we have plenty of questions. So guys, drop your questions in the chat, and we will be getting into it because I have questions around Firstly, how you got from Nigeria to Trinidad? Why Trinidad and Tobago? Right? Like
Yeah.
why Trinidad and Tobago? Because when I went to college in Trinidad, I went to USC and then to UTT, and there were Nigerians in my class, and I always wondered like how y'all end up here from Nigeria, which have like 200 million people, to Trinidad and Tobago, which have 1 million. How you end up there? So how
Well,
did you end up in Trinidad? Let's start there.
yes, I believe Trinidad is a special place. That's why I ended up there, right? It's a beautiful country. And so after I actually had a first degree in geophysics, right? And I'm trying to cement myself more in the petroleum industry. I was seeking admission in Norway, actually. Then one of my brother, he went to Trinidad for vacation and he actually loved the place and he had some connections. So we had good number of Trini that were suggesting to me that we have over 100 years of experience exploring petroleum and we
Right.
have good institution right in Trinidad. So that was what necessitated me to uh, seek admission in Trinidad. So everything changed from Norway to Trinidad. So that's why how I found myself in Trinidad, and I took my a master's program in petroleum engineering from University of Trinidad and Tobago.
Whoop, 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 whoop. Big up UTT. That's also where I did my master's, by the way. We are
Yes.
alumni. We are alumni of the same
Of
university.
course, yeah, Point Lisa's, yeah, Point Lisa's campus.
Love that. So, okay, you were in Trinidad and Tobago at UTT doing your master's degree, right?
Yeah.
Did you have plans to stay there? Like, was this going to be like a permanent move? I mean, you have the oil and gas country in the Caribbean. That's where the oil and gas is in that region, right?
Yeah.
Very wealthy, a lot of prosperity, a lot of opportunity. Did you envision yourself staying in Trinidad and Tobago?
Well, at the first instant, I would say yes because, like, I had so much connection with Trinidad. I had so much nephews and nieces in Trinidad, right? So we had a good community, good relationship with people there, and they see me as a son. They see me as a brother. They see me as someone that is knitted with their family, right? So yeah, so I actually had the plan of staying in Trinidad, but along the line, things started to change, right? And
Mm-hmm.
we propose something, but at the end of the day, it may not actualize the way we wanted it, right? So I now realize after 4 years or 3.5 years to 4 years, I started seeing myself trying to leave Trinidad because of a lot of issues were arising, like, for instance, maybe the immigrations, right? During that year, I got to Trinidad, I think 2015. So during that year, up till 2019 that I left, right, a lot of changes was happening in the country, right? Issues with migration was heavily coming into Trinidad. So I believe the government now started changing the laws for us that want to always renew our permits and all that. So because of all those frustration, so I had to leave. But Trinidad is still in my heart. That is why you see I have a wife that's a Trinidad.
So I want to get more into that because you
Yeah.
you are gonna give it talking about Canadian immigration. A lot of persons right now complaining that the Canadian government, rightfully so, like they're just changing things on us overnight, right?
Oh yes.
You experienced something similar when trying to stay in Trinidad and Tobago. Can you go more in depth into like what that immigration, what those changes were?
So like regards to the permit, right? Initially, when you come into Trinidad, you'll be given like 3 years right, study permits. So we're not allowed to work, right? So as students coming to Trinidad, you don't have a work permit, but you can also, find your way around to get something done, right?
Mm-hmm,
Because
mm-hmm.
they always have maybe a very close family, a
Have
close
a
training that
business or
we
something like that.
always, yeah, that you can just find something to do, right?
Mm-hmm,
So after I finished studying, right, I actually started because of my research. So my research was more on heavy oil, and Trinidad have high deposit of heavy oil, and the type of oil in Trinidad is foamy oil. It's similar to what we have in Canada, right? It has gas in it. It can produce even though it's heavy oil, right? So that research which I was working on, so I now had to take it to the next level, right, for PhD.
Mm.
right? So now I started my PhD at UTT, then getting extension for from the immigration. So they started changing their plans from 3 years. They said they're going to give us 1 year. So I
Hmm.
got the 1 year, and after that they started saying it's 3 months.
So every 3 months you have to apply for extension
Every
now.
3 months you have to go for your study to apply for an extension, and that is frustrating because even within that 3 months, they have so much demands that are outrageous, that are not reasonable, to an
Mm-hmm.
extent where an officer told me, was like, you could go and do your program virtually, go back to your country and do
Wow.
your program, things like that. So because of those frustrations were building up, right? So I knew, Canada as well, it's an immigrant country, right? And it's a place, and I have family here, my siblings, I have good number of siblings here. Even I was in Trinidad, but I still have a good number
Mm-hmm.
of connections with Canada as well. So boom, I just started my application. So I tried, I think the first time, through visitors visa, I was denied, but I knew why I was denied. So I was the type of person that I'm always taking stock of everything I do, right? So when I took stock, I now review the process. I knew, wow, I had some errors in some places, and part of those errors was because of the laws in Trinidad. It's difficult for foreigners to have a bank account, right? So without
Mm.
bank account, you cannot show proof of fund when you're applying for
Joseph,
visas.
let me just
Yeah.
stop you there. Because of the laws in Trinidad, it's difficult for a local person to have a bank account. I swear. So what did they string from your great grandmother to have a bank account?
Yeah, it was so stringent for me to even get one. But after every, I eventually got one, was able to get some fun in my account so that I would be able to get things doing. I actually was working in Trinidad, right?
Mm-hmm.
Doing some of my own stuff. And so I'll be able to build myself up, enjoy myself in the Caribbean, in Trinidad particularly, right? Then from there, because of that push from the immigration, reducing the permits and all those frustration, how will you tell the student that you have to go back home and be taking your classes virtually? That's frustrating. It's not even COVID time that we have more, that the whole world moved into
Virtual.
virtual,
Mm-hmm.
into the virtual space more, right? So because of those frustration, I just decided that, wow, I need to start my application. So I now started looking. I looked at Canada holistically, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of my goal was to get because education is very expensive here, right? So which province offers the most cost-effective tuition, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's very important. The tuition is very important. So looking at Canada as a whole, I now narrow down my search to the Atlantic region. So schools in the Atlantic region are not so expensive, like looking at schools in Toronto, Calgary, Vancouver. They are more expensive, right? So the tuitions here are very, very, very cheap,
Mm.
right? Very, very cheap in the Atlantic region, especially maybe for those listening, even Newfoundland, right? You still have more cheaper than even Nova Scotia because I'm in Halifax here, right? You still have more cheaper tuition, more affordable. I would say it's very affordable, right? And life in the Atlantic as well, it's affordable as well,
And
right?
it's
So
the
that's what
Caribbean like as well. You all have the beach. I'm so jealous.
I'm telling you. So all those experiences, I still came here to enjoy them, right? Like you have various beaches in Trinidad, and over here we still have water around us, right? So we
Mhm.
can go to the beach. Maybe that is more fun, right, in the summer season, because now that it's freezing, you can't
Mhm.
be out there, right? Yeah. So those are what pushed me right into coming into Canada. And also, even in Canada, selecting the actual province to go was one, the tuition and opportunities. When I mean opportunities on maybe securing grants, right? Grants during studies.
Mm.
So that was part of what I was looking out for, right? And because of that, there's also a consequence for that, right? Or there's a price to pay, right, for you to be able to access like the grant in the sense that you must be one of the good student in class,
Right.
right? Because they look at that as a factor, and they will be able to give you some stuff to help cushion your tuition. So those are part of what I was looking out for, and I now landed my
Got it.
search to Nova Scotia, and
Nice.
that's how I
So
came to Canada.
you had guys give Joseph some gems, some fire emojis over on Instagram. He's dropping some gems. He already start dropping some gems. I know everybody gets hook up when they hear the word grant. Everybody is right now. Antenna
Oh
up.
yeah.
Want to get into it? Racine on Instagram said for Trinidad bank account, you need what? A young priest, a old priest, a white chicken, a red lavender, and holy water. Right?
Yeah.
Someone says Persistence is the only bank that would not frustrate you. I don't know about that. I've never banked with them, but it should be noted that even as a visitor in Canada, you're able to just go and open up a bank account, which
Yeah.
is like the best thing ever. Access to a bank account is super, super easy.
Yeah.
All right. So is it only immigration that pushed you into immigration challenges in Trinidad and Tobago? Was that the major reason why you migrated to Canada, or was there anything else?
Well, I'll say opportunity, right? Professionals in Trinidad, it's difficult for us to get the work permit, right? I was about landing a job with Slumbigi in
Mm-hmm.
Trinidad, and at the end of the day, I couldn't get it because of some bottleneck. You're not a trainee, all this kind of frustration. So those are that's also part of it. And another thing too is crime, right? We all know how the crime rate is.
Right now, we have a state of
So,
emergency, right?
oh yeah. So crime, I would say opportunities, and also the immigration challenge. That's what one of the major three things that
Mhm.
moved me from Trinidad to Canada.
So there's no automatic postgraduate work permit
In
in Trinidad.
Trinidad, no, no,
This
there's
is
nothing.
news to me. I don't think I've ever spoken to anyone who went through this process. So you can't work as an international student. You have
Nah.
no direct route to even be able to work after that because there's no postgraduate work permit. It's just come and spend your money.
Yeah, yeah. Only if you stay in the country for 5 years, then you can apply for your permanent residence. And it takes forever. You can be there 10 years, you may not get it. All right. So because I stayed there for 5 years, so I was able to apply. I actually put in my application, but
Mm-hmm.
and I left. I left the application.
Before the application. Yeah, because I mean, who could really
Yeah.
survive 5 years technically without working officially?
Yes.
Right?
Yes. 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 Yeah.
So you decided to jump out yourself and go to Halifax, right? You did your research, you looked at all of the different options, and you landed in the Atlantic provinces, which is kind of a bit contrary because what you're studying, you are probably the most utilized in Alberta, which is the oil and gas province.
Of course. Yeah. So I
Right?
think maybe I didn't add that. Yeah, in my conversation. So now part of my work then in Trinidad, right? Because I was partnering with Petrotrin, now is Heritage. So I was working on heavy oil, and we're having issues of what they call produced water, right? So when you produce the oil, there's associated water that comes in, and so for us to dispose that is always a very big issue, right? Not just in Trinidad but globally, right? So it now started moving me more into the environmental space. So I just wanted to, dig deep, right, to see how effective can we preserve our environment, right,
Mm.
while also exploring all natural resources. So I now shifted my direction from petroleum engineer. I now had to do environmental engineering in Canada here.
Hmm.
I took the environmental engineering, and now I'm an environmental analyst and I work with the province.
Do you know that I did in UTT, I did my master's in environmental science and management? Only this could be a whole job here. Look at talking to somebody you can hire. This here, boy. What is this? Opera slash environmental scientist? Yeah. If all this team are moving to Halifax, shut all them out and mind all your business. Right?
Of course.
Mind your business. So, what program exactly did you go to Halifax to do? And was it a PhD, master's? How did you do that?
Yes. So now, I think one of most immigrant coming to Canada, I'll say I cannot speak for anybody, right? For myself, I'll know like moving into Canada, right, and coming back as a student, it's a mind balance, I think, right? You have to channel your mind that, wow, so I have to go back into the classroom again, right? Because I see that then as one of the easiest route to permanent residency,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because without permanent residency here as well, your identity is in question, right?
Mm-hmm.
So so me coming in here, right? So I took the environmental engineering program, at University of I said University of Trinidad at Nova Scotia Community College, right?
Right.
So it's a college, it's a 2-year program, right? And yeah, it's a very busy program because of its hands-on, right? Most of and I'll say with the technical aspect, right? I think that program worth it, right? And anyone that's looking towards, maybe transitioning, even you're in environmental and all that, because it's why I say worth it is that it's was the building block for me to even securing my permanent job, right? Because those program brings you closer to the industry, so we have opportunity to have industrial training. We have opportunity to have those from the industry coming in to check in, with students, telling us about their experience, because some of them too were graduates from that program. So it was an
Right.
easy transition for me to be able to secure a permanent job, right, after graduation. And after graduation, I had multiple choices to choose from.
Mm.
Yeah, just because of that program, right? So we have various opportunities. So I think that was, was the right choice for me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
of the hands-on aspect. It's a technical school college. The college are more technical oriented, right? So it's a technical school. So we do a lot of hands-on stuff, and I think it was very beneficiary for me, and that is how I was able to secure my permanent job, which I'm currently in since 2021.
Before then,
Yeah.
did you ever visit Canada?
No, I tried actually. I tried in 2016 because I wanted to see my family here, but I was denied. And part of
Oh,
it was because
you have to
I
come.
didn't have a bank account.
Right,
It's
got
very
you. So you
important.
tried, but
Yeah.
you couldn't get to go. So your first time visiting Canada was when you landed as a temporary resident, as an international
Yes,
student.
as a temporary resident.
What was your first impression? I've never been to Halifax. Give us a lay of the land. Like, how was it? Is it small town, big town? What was your first impression of Halifax?
I'll say Halifax is like Trinidad, right? So Halifax is similar to the Caribbean. When I landed in Toronto, then I went straight to Calgary, right? I
Okay.
spent a couple of months there with my family, and from Calgary, I think in September 1, I now came to Trinidad, came to Halifax. And
Yes.
Halifax is beautiful. It's a beautiful city, right? Yeah, we just about 1 million in the,
In
population
population.
wise, but yeah, it's a very quiet city, right? It's very historic as well, right? The history of Canada, right? Like military wise and all that, right? Took their roots here in Trinidad, in
Halifax.
Halifax, right? So yeah, Halifax is a very great place, a very great city, and I see it as a building block for me, an easy route to building my
Mm,
career, in the sense that, in bigger city in Toronto, you have so much competition. In other bigger provinces, you have so much competition, but in this province here, it's easy for you to make that connection and rise. Then even if you want to now move to a different province, you're not just starting at, because of the level of attainment you have achieved here professionally, it would now be easy for you to have even a higher role in a bigger
mm.
province. So I feel that that's one of the benefits as well in the Atlantic province.
That's kind of how I feel about Edmonton. So our population is about 1.3, 1.4 million. So similar, a bit, a little bit larger than Halifax, maybe like about 400,000 people more, right? But in the
Yes,
grand scale of things, maybe about the same amount in terms of the feel of people. And I feel the same way, like it's easy to network here and like move your way up just based on who you know, kind of, wiggle your way into rooms
of course.
compared to if you're in a bigger city where no one really cares, no one has time, everybody working two jobs, no one cares. Figure it
So
out.
busy. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I kind of feel the exact same way. So I know everybody wants to know. So I'm going to ask the question. All right. Are there black people there?
Oh yeah,
Are there
yeah,
black and brown people there? Right?
yeah. There are a lot here, right? There are a lot, and I see. well, Canada generally is a diverse
Very
community,
diverse.
right? Yeah. So it's the same experience in Halifax here. Like it was so amazing that when I went to the Cape Breton region, that's towards the northern part of Nova Scotia, that you just be feeling the French vibes there, right? So we have the Acadian people. So the Acadian are more French, the francophone. So when you go there, all the TV stations of the, so it was so very, like, I was so very stunned, right, to get that type of feel, because I've never had that before, right, to
Right,
see, that mix in the same
right.
province, right? So it was great. And yeah, Halifax is actually very beautiful, especially in the fall. If you come, there are a lot of places that you could visit that are amazing. Nice place to take photos.
Nice. Okay, so it's diverse, tick.
Yeah.
It has water, tick. It's nice and small and friendly people. How is the housing prices? Because right now housing is a big topic for the whole of Canada. We're going through a housing crisis here. Like, how much can you rent a typical two-bedroom apartment for in Halifax?
Yeah. So Halifax, prior to the pandemic, right? That's during the coronavirus and all that. Halifax was very affordable, right? And I think Halifax was one of the province in Canada that was able to control COVID so well,
Mhm.
right? So all those bigger people from Toronto and every part of Canada, so they were selling all their properties, moving to Halifax with
Hmm.
their cash, and so that is what changed the dynamics regards to housing in Halifax. So Halifax is actually so very expensive now. So prior to now, you could get maybe a two-bedroom for below $1,000. Yeah, two-bedroom, as in very nice apartment. But now a two-bedroom is maybe a little above 2,000. Yeah, averagely, and that's maybe if you're looking at downtown. Downtown is more expensive. Yeah,
Wow.
so Halifax now, it's like it's an expensive. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
That is
yeah.
wild. Yo, that is wild. That's a huge jump. That's like 100% jump.
Yeah. So prior to the pandemic, it was very affordable,
Affordable
but
because $1,000 a two-bedroom apartment is a steal of a deal, even in Edmonton.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, it's
Wow.
actually very expensive, and yeah. So
Okay.
housing, to purchase a house in Halifax now, it's beyond what you can comprehend, because most of the prices have doubled themselves. Like
Wow.
houses that would have been going for 300, maybe they are now 700 now. Yeah.
Wow. So in Edmonton, just for reference, prior to COVID, you probably could get a two-bedroom apartment here. Well, this is like 5 years, 4, 5 years ago, right? Probably could get a two-bedroom apartment for like $1,300, $1,200. Now you can get a two-bedroom apartment for like $1,500, $1,600, somewhat. And it's
Yeah.
a nice two-bedroom apartment, something that I would want to live in, like the nice area with all of the nice amenities. Of course, you could get something cheaper if you go to less desirable neighborhoods, but like a nice apartment that we any of us would like to live in, yeah, about 16, 15, $1,600.
And
Even a
for
bit of a jump.
that same level, I think you won't get it below 2,000. That's very nice and all that. You can't get it below 2,000 here in Halifax now.
That's wild. So
Yeah.
okay, no problem, no problem. Because cost of living is always like relative according to earning potential, right? Are you making money in Halifax? How is the job opportunities? Because anything can be bought if you're making enough money. How is the job market in Halifax?
I would say the job market is not very robust for now, right? Because of the challenges,
Mm-hmm.
globally, right? And initially, the population was able to absorb the rate of job creation, but now currently we are having more people to less jobs, right?
Right.
So I will say that the job market, it's not as it usually is, because when I came into Halifax here, even close to 2021, when I graduated, you always see signs, even in all these grocery stores, that they are post for job opportunities, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now you can't even see that. Why?
Wow.
Because we have so many people, and so many people actually came into the province, right? So we had so many people coming to Halifax, and it increased the um,
Demand for jobs.
yeah. So that's a big challenge, and because of in the Atlantic here, so we have it's more pathways to permanent residency. Like they have the Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program. So
Right.
most people, when they school in the East, Toronto, Ontario, right? So they just come here,
To get
and yes, through that program, and that program maybe around 6 months or thereabout, you're already with your permanent resident, right? So, but a lot
mm,
of changes now have, so it brings in a lot of people, right? So people school in Ontario, you just see them in droves coming in, and and once they get their stuff, some of them leave.
on.
So the government now, try to peg all those opportunities now, right?
Right, right. So I don't know if persons on here really catching what Joseph is saying, but he's saying that there's a lot of internal immigration towards Halifax. So a lot of people from other provinces are trying to come. Some of them are temporary residents looking for permanent residency. The Atlantic provinces definitely have more options for becoming a permanent resident. It's very appealing. It's very dreamy to go there and
Very
get
important.
PR. And then a lot of people leave thereafter, or they may stay for the 2 years to satisfy that need for citizenship later on, and then they would leave, right? But what are you still doing there, though? That's my question. Why?
Well, I would say, yeah. Halifax has been good to me,
Right,
right? Because, like I said, when I graduated, I had options for job,
right.
right? And my career has progressed even beyond what I was thinking, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like my progression within between that 2021 and now, it has really jumped beyond what my expectation was, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that's part of why I'm still here. We are like I just got married, right? In April, right? We did our wedding. Yeah, we even went to the west to try to see. Even my family are all pulling us to the west, right? But I told them that maybe in the future, right, we'll join them. But Halifax has been, I would say, yeah, for me, opportunity wise, has been favorable, right? And I got the
Mm-hmm.
right job and earning the right amount that
Income,
it's,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay, I have some questions. And for those of you all over on Instagram, feel free to drop your questions. A question about housing came from someone on Instagram. We want to know, what is your housing market like? And I think if you're considering Halifax, these are some great takeaways and some great gems, right? Take everything into consideration. This is what the unwind is for. Here, the good, bad, and the ugly. Now we're going to talk about the in between the lines, right? In between the lines of what Joseph said. So I firstly want to acknowledge that you just got married. Congratulations. Before we went live, his wife popped in. She right to the back there. She and the other right, she popped in. And I was like, oh, so you make sure he couldn't leave Trinidad without a wife, right? Make sure you leave it okay. Take a wife with you. Firstly, how was that experience leaving your then fiance behind to come to Canada, leaving her because you're only now reunited after a long period of time. So there's a
Yeah.
long time to do without the roti and the happening night, right? How was that
Yes.
experience? And then we want to talk about like what did you do different, in your opinion, to really cement a good career projection for yourself. So firstly, wifey, how was that experience leaving her behind and then reuniting later on?
Yeah, I'll say when we're actually in Trinidad, we're just friends.
Oh,
Yeah,
playing
so
the
just
long
normal friends.
game. She was, or
Yeah.
you was playing the long game. You was playing the long game.
Well, so we're just friends on a chatting basis. When she graduated from the law school, I was there, right? I was even her photographer there that day, but I never knew she's going to be my wife today, right? So, but yeah, we were just friends, and I was here in Canada, more focused on what brought me here, right? And I know that there are a lot of challenges, right? And so along the line, she's always asking me that why is she has so many questions. She's asking me why. I told her that why you disturbing yourself with some questions that you don't need to, that may not have some answers, right? So yeah. So I was here, she was there. We're still chatting, still communicating, just ways that we can help ourselves, right? Maybe she has some stuff she wants to do. She could run it with me, and if I do the same thing, even when I write my project and all that, I could send it to her, proofread to see, things like that. So that's how we were working, and later on, and because so I didn't come to Trinidad, right? And I was already in the process of my permanent residency then and all that. So we just decided, okay, why don't we take a trip to Miami, right? So we went to Miami. That's when we saw, I think that was 2023, right? So that's when we saw again after I left in 2019. And after that,
Old
things
time,
just
old
happened.
sketch.
Yes.
Yes, all right. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Trinidad is a lovely place. You can't go to Trinidad without taking something personal to yourself.
Somebody say Miami things.
Oh
What happened in
yes.
Miami? You leave a Trinidad woman, come back and meet she where you leave she.
I'm telling you.
I love it. I know she probably behind there looking at you like, oh my God. Tell her the story. Oh Lord. That is
Yeah.
amazing.
She's a lovely lady, and God fearing, and from a beautiful family. And when I was there, actually, I know the family, right? But maybe not in this other
Not as
capacity, right?
son-in-law, just
Yeah,
as
but yeah, just normal friends and all that.
mhm, mhm. So she graduated from law school, so that means she was a lawyer in Trinidad.
Yeah, she was working, yeah, with the, I think, Ministry of Labor or something while she was there.
How was the transition for her? And if she's there, if she's available, if she wants to come on, oh gosh, girl, sorry, opinion is so sorry. She said before Kelly's don't come, man. Let you Kelly just don't come, man.
Yeah, so prior to her coming, right? So
Mm-hmm.
we were making arrangement for her to, do all this transitioning, right? So there are some
Mm-hmm.
courses she needs to take, right, so that she'll be able to call to bar here.
Mm.
And I think it's more straightforward even in the Atlantic than in other parts of the province, right? So in Trinidad, so she did all those stuff. So she was COVID helped her, right? Actually, me, I was here as a student. She was working, but she also had the dream of leaving one day,
Mm.
right? So she was putting her things together, reached out to the law council in Canada and Toronto, assessed her credentials to see how she can, when she come into Canada, how she can fit in into the community
Right.
properly. And so she was doing that. Then finally she's here.
How has the transition been for her? Because those very regulated professions, lawyers, doctors, they have a hard time transitioning and being actually able to practice their profession in Canada. How has that transition been for her? Taking into consideration she only recently arrived, right?
Yes, so I would say the transition was smooth for her and it was swift, right? Because information is power, right? So
Mm-hmm.
we got the right information, we knock at the right doors, those that have passed through those like gone through that process as well. I know a couple of them, so it was much easier for her to, transition from being a lawyer there and into Canada, right? Currently she's working with one of the province. She's working in the province as well.
McGill government work. She must
Yeah.
have don't bring shit here. Don't bring shit here. Because all she family back home, all she friends gonna be like,
Yeah. So you
that
see why we're still in Halifax, right? So Halifax has been beautiful.
yeah, y'all have done really well. So someone said government things. Yes, she pushed and she
Government
executed.
thing.
You
Yeah.
said something really, really, really important. Knowledge is power. And I think that a part of her swift transition is the fact that she had somebody on the ground, right?
Yeah.
Which brings me to the services that you have now started providing on Upro to help persons to settle. I posted a picture of you in my stories this morning, and someone who recently moved from Halifax to Edmonton messaged me and was like, I actually know him. I met him when he was friends to settle in Halifax. I was like, wow.
Wow.
A
Okay.
small world. right?
Yeah, yeah.
So,
So that's Halifax for you. Halifax, it's a
mm,
small community, so everybody knows everybody.
that is amazing. So you just started helping persons to get settled, and
Yeah,
knowledge really is power because if you have someone who's there and who is
makes life
settled
easy.
there, things become so much more easy. You don't make as much mistakes. You save money on some of the costly mistakes that newcomers make,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes, yeah, yeah. It's very important, like that's why I love, this idea, right? The Opro through the Opro settlement program. I see that it's a very, very like it will help you in the right direction. Anybody that goes through the settlement
Mm-hmm.
plan, the program, and whatever direction, they are going to put you in the right path, right? And that is what helps you to benefit more in the society, because when you know before you apply, when you know before you take steps, right, you'll be taking the right steps, and you won't make mistakes, right? Mistakes that could maybe cost you so many years or even financially, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's why I believe, anyone trying to come into Canada and you're using the upro route, yeah, you are on the right track.
Mm. So you can actually go onto Upro if you click on housing and click on rentals, and you could book a call with Joseph, 25 Canadian dollars for the hour to sit down and pick his brain. Right.
Of
And now
course.
if you are considering moving to Halifax, it probably will be the best $25 you ever spend.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, go sit down and pick his brain and see what steps he took. We have so much questions on here about your wife. Someone is asking what type of lawyer is she? I don't know if you want to answer that quickly.
Yeah, so she's I think labor law and all that. She's into labor.
Labor, right?
Yeah.
So labor law, right? And what did y'all do differently? Or not her, because I know she had you. But what did you do differently to not just secure a great job, but also to move from entry level position into managerial or into getting promoted?
Yeah, so like I said, information, right? Very key, right? And when you are in the right career path, right, it's always easier, and you love what you do, right? It makes transition in your position very swift, right? And you'll be getting the right, will I say, you'll be hitting the right marks, right? That will help you to move to the peak of your career, or to move to whatever level you are. So I would say what I did differently was first proper planning, information, research, right? Make sure that I'm in the right part of what I'm doing, right? And to seek as well tools that could help me develop myself in whatever career path I am currently
Mm-hmm,
at, right?
mm-hmm,
Like getting to this year, I've already outlined maybe two professional certifications that I want to do, right? So
mm-hmm,
things like that. When you get all those things in your, you get all those things in your, get all those things together, right? It makes you more marketable, right, everywhere. And even if we, for instance, we want to move from Halifax to the west, right? So I'll first, okay, what are some essentials that I need, right?
right.
Because sometimes you go into a more advanced world, right? You may need some also to get some stuff that maybe are some areas that maybe lacking there,
Mm-hmm,
or areas that you can bridge yourself in that will make you as well to be at a level where you'll be able to secure attention, like in respect to interviews, to select your resume, over 10,500, 1,000, hundreds of people applying, but what it's in your resume, can distinguish you from the crowd, that could help
mm-hmm.
you, right? So yeah.
Someone asked how important was networking to securing those promotions?
Yeah, I would say networking was key for me, right? Because I mentioned earlier that when I graduated from school, I had opportunities, about three different opportunities, right? So I had to choose. You understand? So most of those opportunities were just through networking,
You.
conversation with people, right? I met somebody and he told me, "Don't worry, I'm going to see
Put
what I
your
can do.
resume to the top
But
of the pile.
but most of the time they are going to tell you that don't rely on it,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, don't rely on, but we'll see what will happen. And when I was a student, I was working in one of the grocery stores, right? And a lady just came in and she told me, so she was purchasing some items, batteries, so much, and I just asked her, why are you, getting this quantity? And so she was telling me, oh, it's for her work, so she's going to do some species risk and all that assessment. And so that was part of what I learned in school. So I started talking to her about it. She was like, wow, what are you doing here? I said, well, that was when I was still
A student.
about graduating, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she now said, okay, just give me your number, right? And we'll see what will happen, right? Just through conversation in the grocery store. And after about 2 weeks, I saw a call from Toronto. Yeah, did they send your resume? This, we had an interview and everything, So I had opportunities to now choose, right? So networking is very important. And I would say it's the key to securing anything. I have a friend in Alberta, right? So he to get a job in Edmonton, right? So through his friend just told him, "Oh, apply on this," and so those are how it works, right?
Mm-hmm.
Connection is very key for you to be able to
One hundred
get
percent.
whatever you want. You must connect, you must network, you must show yourself. Even if you are on LinkedIn, you can connect, just connect. Get a beautiful profile, right? And through guidance, through getting good information from the Opera app can also help you, right? To increase your network, to increase your your coverage. So yeah.
Awesome. I think we get a really in-depth answer there, guys. If you
Oh
have
yeah.
any questions, drop it down there. But something stood out, and everything you said is 100% true. Like we ran a pilot program in Upro for the last quarter of last year, where we did a find your first job support group. We had 10 persons, right? And we just networking, talking about resume, talking about all of these things. One person got a job before we even start. We had to kick him out of the group because he now had a job. Why did he have a really good job too? Why did he
Networking.
get a job?
Yeah.
He had somebody talking, and before you know it, he had a job offer.
Wow.
Like that,
That's how
right?
it works. Yeah. Yeah. Networking is
Just like
key.
that. Networking
Yeah.
is key. So one of the things you mentioned, and I really wanted to just go back on. We talking about you was doing your PhD in Trinidad. Did you graduate with your PhD or did you leave before you was finished?
So the program was ongoing, right? While I left,
Mm-hmm.
and also my supervisor was an Iranian,
Hmm.
right? So we were both working on that project, and because of so many things going on with the organization and all that, so we're unable to continue that. So he now had to leave as well. He's currently in Alberta. I think he's in one of the universities. He's lecturing there.
Nice. Strange enough,
Yes.
when I was doing my master's, a lot of my lecturers as well, they were Trinidadian, but they were Canadian as well. They were Canadian. I don't know. There's probably, I mean, it's oil and gas, oil and gas. So a lot of people
Yeah,
work
like I
together.
said earlier, Trinidad have over 100 years experience in the oil and gas industry. So
Mm-hmm. A lot
it's a
of sense.
very, yeah, very, very place where most good professors have
Go
network from.
back and forth. Yeah. So one of the things I really just wanted to touch on because we almost near the end. We like
Oh yeah.
we have like 10 more
One
minutes,
minute.
guys.
Yeah.
The time is flying when you're having fun, right? So you went from midway through your PhD program to working in a grocery store.
Well,
How
life in Canada,
I
right?
you?
So yeah, well, yeah. So life in Canada, right? It's I would say most of the times, every one of us, you may be a manager in your country, but when you come to Canada, you may first have to start in a very place that are not comfortable. That naturally you won't even attempt to apply for those jobs in your country, right? So joyfully I was doing it, right? So it was even an opportunity for me to network too, right? I'd give you an instance where someone just came and through conversation and you see things started happening, right? So I'll see, like, in Canada, I coming to Canada, I know that every job is important, right? Because it's serving one purpose or the other, right?
Mhm.
So if everybody are just going for the white collar, right? So who is going to do the others?
Mhm.
And even doing other jobs, you are still respected,
Mhm.
as well as those that are doing whatever. But you just have your goal. Where do I want to be in this number of years?
Mhm.
So the environment doesn't matter, but once you have that goal, it drives you, right? That's just the driving force, giving you joy in what you're doing, knowing to the fact that tomorrow I won't be where I am. I'll be in a much better place.
Hmm. And you have actually seen that vision come to reality,
Yes.
right? So you know, years later, you have your wife, fiance, now wife, join you reunited, and now in hindsight, was it a good choice? Was it a good choice to pivot away from that PR application that was still pending in Trinidad, right? To now moving over into Canada.
I'll say it is very well, right? Because yeah, I think we are. I don't want to say we. Yeah, so it's the right choice for me, right, and the right choice for her as well, because she had to leave her job and to come here, and
Mm-hmm.
she came in not up to 5 months. She was able to secure a job, right? You
Mm-hmm.
understand? So I would say the transition from Trinidad coming here was the right choice, and also um, the finding the actual province, right? I think we got that right. You understand? So I think we got that right by coming to Halifax, right? I may be in Toronto, but maybe I may not even have the opportunity to connect with you, right?
Mm-hmm.
But through Halifax, we're able to, get that. So I'll say, yeah, it was the right choice. It was the right move, right? It was based on good search, right? And I did that myself. But people coming in now, there's resources in the Opera app that can help you, right?
Mm-hmm.
That could help you transition if you are coming from any part of the world. If it's from Trinidad, you're coming from Trinidad, coming to Canada, you have family here already, right?
Mm-hmm.
Through the Opera app, we have the Caribbean experience, you know. Although yeah, so yeah, I'll say my transition was great, and it was worth it.
I love that. I love that. So, two more questions, all right? First of the two questions, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
Yeah, so I don't know how far this is going, but in the next 5 years, maybe me and my wife we're planning to move to Texas.
Mm, listen. No, I did not know that that's what I was going to say. But I have been drawing reference to how similar Alberta and Texas is in terms of economy, except that Texas is way bigger, right? Way more people, way more opportunity, way less housing prices.
Yeah, so that's our long-term
And
goal,
to
right?
move
So
to
I
the
don't know
United
how far this video is going, but
States.
our long-term plan is to move to Texas. Yeah.
I love that for you. And I love that you bring that up, right? I love that you bring that up. Again, the Unwind Guys is a place where we talk real, right? We
Oh
talking
yes,
real.
yes.
You went from Nigeria to Trinidad because it was a smooth transition. When things got tough there, you pivoted. You're in Halifax now. Okay, when you feel like your things not working out, it becomes so easy because when you do it once, you realize, well, wait, I could do it again. My neighbor string and berry there. If it's anywhere in neighbor string berry, it's in Nigeria, right? So you can move from Nigeria to Trinidad. Why it is to move from Trinidad to Halifax? What it is to really move from Halifax to Texas, and Texas might be the last place, it becomes like if you're a global citizen, especially
Yes,
if you have
yes.
that Canadian passport.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. That's it.
Especially when you have that Canadian passport, now you're a global citizen. If
Yeah,
anywhere
you
not
could
in
you
your
could
right,
do
you
whatever you want. Yeah.
that there's power in that, being able to just leave.
Yeah, and it's a process, right? So you have to get it right. Like what I advise people, and I see, through communication in the Opera app, it's always giving people more, information. Just seeing that update makes you that, oh, I need to think about this, right? So that's why you need to download the app, right? Just seeing an update from Opera telling you that, wow, take a step, right? So that's
Mhm.
what we do, right? So even from student to permanent residence to citizenship, right? So you must take different step and you take it on time, right? So you
Mm-hmm.
don't leave any gap, right? So joining the Opro group, the Opro app, downloading the app, following all those resources, those are great opportunities for anyone that wants to transition in their career, or you want to, have something different from your experience in your home country, right?
Mm-hmm. And just move, just do it, right? I
Yeah.
love that for you. I love. Okay, so that was my second to last question. That was a surprise one, y'all. I didn't realize
Yeah.
that. Okay, all right. I love that. I love that for you. Okay, so last question. Do you have any regrets?
I'll say there's no regret so far, right? Because why is that? Um, when you have a plan and your plan is being materialized, right? So, you just keep having new plans. So I just think that that's the bubble we are in, right? So we set some goals, set some standard, we achieve it. We set new ones, we achieve it. So there's no regret there. So I will say that so far it has been great, right? And everyone, that are also looking forward to taking such type of step like what I've done, right, from Trinidad to Canada, right. So you have the greatest tools already, right, through this Opro. Through Opro, you have the tools. You don't need to worry about, just connect. That 15-minute conversation is so very important. It can be a defining moment. It can change everything for you, right? Just that 15-minute conversation. It can change the
Mhm.
situation. It can answer all those questions. Like I said earlier, information is key, right?
Information is
Especially
key.
to when it comes to immigration, information is key.
So I just wanted to highlight that if you're interested in moving from one province to another, you're planning to move to Canada, if you go into the Upper app, click on housing, click on apartments, it would actually carry to a list of settlement service providers. So Joseph is not the only one, right? So you could actually pick which city you plan to go to and you could book a call for $25 with one of them, right? These are all vetted professionals. They have been trained on our team and they are persons living in the city that you plan to live in. Knowledge is key. Talking to someone who already currently lives there is going to change your experience dramatically.
Yeah.
Right? So definitely check out that. Go to upro.ca, download the app, or just go to your app store, your Apple App Store, your Google App Store, and download the app and create a free account, and there you go. Right? So that was my last question. So now I just want to open the floor up to you. Are there any final words of encouragement that you have for persons who are currently going through the process? They may be feeling stuck, a bit hopeless, a bit unsure about the immigration status because you've been through it all in multiple countries, right?
Yeah.
What advice or what words of encouragement do you have for people going through what you have been through?
Well, so I'll advise everyone to have an open mind, just be positive, right? Sometimes you may just need that conversation with somebody, right, to answer that bugging question because you always have questions. The wait sometimes is not easy, right? But if you have someone that you can talk to, makes things easier for you, right? So anyone looking forward to this same process, right? You have the information at your fingertips. Just go into the app, get all the resources. If you want to speak to anybody, any professionals that could help you, just dial in, just set up that 15 minutes, 20-minute conversation. It can change everything for you. So everything is possible. I'll tell everyone everything is possible. Your goals, your dreams are possible. You can achieve them, right? But you just need the right resources. You need the right connection. You need the right tool. And we all have those resources for you, and just access them, and yeah, you'll be smiling in a couple of months, years, to come.
I love that. Joseph, I think this interview was amazing. You have such a positive outlook on life. And I think one of the takeaways that I took from your interview is that he didn't even mention the challenge of going from PhD to grocery. He just said it as a by the way. If I didn't ask the question, it would have been even insignificant to you because he always
Yes.
had his prize on his destination. It's almost like if you were living in the future of what it is you were currently doing. So you didn't even think it was an afterthought. I
Yes.
love that. I love that mindset of just doing what you need to do to get what it is you want. Using what you have to get what it is you want. Love it.
Thank you
Love
very
it.
much.
Thank you so much for sharing your story.
You're
Tell your
welcome.
wife thank you for allowing you to tell us our story. We get a third party view of our story, right?
Yeah, yes,
And
yes, yes, yeah.
congratulations on your recent marriage, and we wish
Thank you
you
very much.
all the luck and all the best for your future.
Yes. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Take care, Joseph. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.
And that there concludes our first episode for the Unwind for 2025. I hope you all enjoyed it. I hope you all enjoyed it. Stay tuned. We plan to do this as much as possible every Friday. So if you have it on a calendar already, mark out Friday evening to come and drink some wine with me and hear some unaudited immigration stories, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the in-between. Here on Kelly's Travels on Instagram, Upro app on YouTube, and you can actually go check out the replay on Kelly's Travels over on YouTube and on the Upro app in YouTube page as well. Remember, guys, the journey is the prize. You'll have an amazing week ahead, and you'll take care. Bye, guys.